Hi friends, it's Di Basinger from Chandler, Arizona. And today I'm going to be sharing some ideas about how to build greater intimacy into your mindful loving relationship. Last week, my colleague Kathleen talked about taking time out to create dates. And that's one way to build intimacy. Those are points of connection, memory building, emotional, physical, sexual, spiritual intimacy. What I'm going to be talking about is how to build intimacy during the tension times, when we're feeling disconnected, when we're feeling stressed. We're spending a lot of time together now. The conversations are beginning to change as there's notions about how to evaluate getting back together. And there can be a building of tension in our relationships, in our homes. And the goal is to manage those tensions with intimacy. And intimacy starts with you, right? It starts with us identifying our feelings, knowing that we've had an experience that could be upsetting, could be disappointing, could be concerning. We can even feel angry about a given situation. And it starts with us and paying attention to the stories we're telling ourselves about that situation. The stories we're telling ourselves about our partner or the person that we felt harmed by. And so intimacy starts with you, whether you're on the giving end of a snarky remark or you're on the receiving end of a snarky remark. Intimacy is about being honest and having the courage to speak to those things. So when you start to think about dealing with tensions, dealing with disappointments, dealing with concerns, we have a tool section in our book, Mindful Loving, A Guide to Loving with Passion and Purpose. And one of the tools is Reset the Moment. And so I would really encourage you to have a conversation with your partner about how you might be able to implement these 3 strategies. And these are strategies that take courage, it takes personal responsibility, and it takes a real desire to connect through the tension. Right? And get to the other side, which is true, mature intimacy. You being you, your partner being your partner, and working toward resolution of a given situation. So the first part of Reset the Moment is an oops, right? Whenever you do something that might have been snarky or sarcastic or quick or judgmental, you can take responsibility and say, oops, I'm sorry, in that moment. And it's done, right? You acknowledge it. You acknowledge the impact that might have had on somebody, and it's resolved. It could be ouch if you're on the receiving end of a snarky remark or something that is hurtful. It's an ouch. As long as you two are talking about what oops and ouch could mean in your relationship, that can be a very meaningful experience. One of my clients emailed me today, and she said, my husband sent me a text and said he was sorry about what he said this morning and then explained what was going on for him. That's intimacy. That's clearing the air and connecting in ways that are very meaningful. The second component of Reset the Moment is a do-over, right? It's when you recognize that you have had an impact on someone and you initiate a conversation about, I'd like to have a bigger conversation, right? I want to share where I was coming from. I want to know the impact of that on you, and let's move toward resolution. Because intimacy, again, is about sharing those hurt feelings, not from a blaming way, but from a respectful way, respecting yourself that you had the experience and respecting the relationship. And so you can bring these things to the table. So a do-over is a request to have a deeper conversation about what was said, what was experienced, and move toward resolution. The third part of the Reset the Moment is take 5. Sometimes we are just too upset to have a conversation, and we need to take some time to reflect on our experience and approach each other in a calmer fashion, a fashion that is generating understanding about each person's experience and moving toward resolution. When I say take 5, I don't mean take 5 weeks, right? Sometimes it's hard to come back to that tough conversation. But if you chose to take 5, it's important to be the person who comes back and says, I'm ready. How about you? Can we have a conversation? So these things are about intimacy. right? It's intimacy through tension. And when we become our most vulnerable selves and we think about our conversations with each other and what's most meaningful, we can reconnect in more genuine, authentic ways when we go to those vulnerable experiences and we share those stories and we share our experience. We ask for forgiveness, we're ready to forgive. And when we move on with greater intimacy. And so I encourage you to go to our mindfullovingbook.com website. We have other videos on there that really talk about how you can listen to each other with greater respect, intention for understanding each other. And we have a companion book that is a guidebook that will help you walk through some questions that really offer up some wonderful conversations with couples. And if you'd like to pre-order that, please feel free to email me at diana.basinger@gmail.com. Until then, I wish you mindful loving in all your relationships.